Putting together a short film all by yourself can feel impossible at times, but I'm here to show you it doesn't have to be as hard as you think. I recently created a powerlifting short film, and in this video, I want to break down the post-production side of the film to show you the best ways to edit, color grade, and sound design your own projects, getting you closer to publishing them. If you'd like to check out the final short film, you can watch it on my channel along with a behind-the-scenes look at how I planned and filmed it. I began editing the film right after filming the interview with my two subjects. Before filming everything else, I wanted to finalize which portions of the interview would be included, creating the base of the final film. Creating this outline also helped me think about where I wanted shots to go before filming them, so once everything is captured, it will be easier to place shots where they belong. I color-coded the interview to keep everything organized, so when I work with all the footage, Marcus's shots will be orange and Kai's will be purplish pink. Doing this now also helped me balance the screen time of both of my main subjects. After I figured out the basic outline with their answers, I was ready to finish filming so I can get onto the post-production on this film. Once everything was captured, I began the editing process by organizing all the footage I filmed. After the interview, I filmed on 3 separate days. The first was in the garage gym, the second was in the powerlifting gym, and third during Marcus's meet to have footage of his competition in the film. When working with a lot of footage, you want to make it easy to find any shot you're looking for at any given time. I dumped all the footage onto a single timeline and first separated them by day they were filmed since they were in different locations. Within each day, I separated the shots by who I was filming and color-coded them like I did for the interview. Now I can clearly see who the main subject is in any shot and where the shot takes place. So if I wanted a clip of Marcus in the powerlifting gym, I know that was day 2 filming and his clips are orange, so these are the ones I looked through. Now I go through every single shot, removing the bad takes and shots I won't end up using in the film to make it easier to find the best ones when jumping between timelines. I have my final interview based timeline, a final footage timeline with the best shots, and the next timeline where I start putting together the short film in 1080p. Before jumping into that timeline, I found 2 shots I wanted to color grade so I can begin to get a sense of how the final look would be in the short film. Let me quickly take you through those 2 shots, breaking down each node so you can see my process and how I achieved the final grade. Here is the first shot I wanted to get a final look at. I start in node 2 where I place the tungsten phantom LUT, my favorite starting point for S-Log3 footage. I then go back to node 1 to make my primary adjustments, opening up the image before I color grade. I began by lowering the offset wheel as I shot this a bit overexposed and the image was too bright overall. I then add contrast back into the shot and move the pivot to the left so the image opens up. I go to the gamma wheel and increase it, then the lift wheel and decrease the value, and then raising the gamma wheel. This all helps correct the exposure of my footage and make it stand out more before adding the color grade and other adjustments. I drop the highlights to -50 to bring back some detail, and I lower the shadows slightly for a little more contrast. The image looked a little cool to me, so I warmed it up in the temp and lowered the magenta in the tint. I finished in this node by lowering the mid detail to -10. I move on to node 3 where I create my film curve. I always start with default anchors to make my curve faster, and create points based on how I want the highlights and shadows to come out to give it a more filmic look to the overall image. This curve will be used throughout every other shot in the final look of the short film. I thought this shot didn't need color adjustments, so I left node 4 alone and moved on to node 5 where I added the color grade. I always start by adding teal in the lift wheel by lowering the red value, and then I warm up the image in the gamma wheel, pushing towards the orange hues. To make sure the black parts of the image are truly black, I go to the log wheels in the same node and add magenta to the shadows by lowering the green value. In the midtones, I warm up the image even more. I move on to node 6 to add a bit more contrast and pop through editable spleens. I push the curve up in the brighter parts and drop it down so I'm adding contrast while I'm not losing any details in the highlights. Next, in node 7, I bring in Dehancer to add film qualities to the image. I start in the film tab to change the profile to my favorite look, Kodak Vision 3 500T, and pull the slider to the right for the colors I want. Then I scroll to the print tab to add contrast back in, increase the color density, and slightly raise the exposure. I scroll back up to the expand tab and slightly increase the black point and decrease the white point. Last, in Dehancer, I add film grain. I change the profile to 65mm ISO 500 and increase the amount to 45. For finishing touches in node 8, I added the glow effect to polish it up. I lower the global blend and change the composite type to soft light. I scroll up to the shine threshold to drop it so it increases the shine in the brighter parts. And I lower the spread just a bit. And here is the final look for this shot. This is the second shot I wanted to grade so I can get a feel for how the colors will look between the garage gym and the powerlifting gym. I copied the grade from the first shot over to this one and disabled the nodes so I can go through them one by one to make the fine adjustments needed to get the look just right. I enabled the nodes in the same order as I would if I colored it from scratch. I start in node 2 turning on the tungsten phantom LUT. I go back to node 1 where I slightly increase the offset wheel. The values of the gamma, lift, and gain wheels from the first shot all worked with this one, so I left them alone. I added a bit more contrast and moved the pivot slightly more to the right. I increased the highlights from -50 to -42 and raised the shadows to see a bit more of the details in the darker parts. I cooled the image more than the first shot and left the tint and mid detail the same. I enabled the third node turning on the film curve I created earlier. With this shot, I did end up doing a small color adjustment in the fourth node, lowering the saturation of the yellows in the curves. The fifth node is the exact same color grading as the first shot, helping keeping the colors consistent. Same for node 6, I kept it the exact same as the first shot. Node 7 is dehancer and the settings are exactly the same as the first shot, besides adjusting the push and pull slider here. For the glow effect in node 8, I didn't change the settings here either. Throughout my filming process, I maintained consistency in how I expose my shots, so when I went to color grading, I can use pretty much the same nodes with just minor tweaks here and there throughout all the shots. If you're looking for more in-depth breakdowns of my color grading workflow, you can check out these videos here on the Adorama Cinema channel. After grading these two shots, I wanted to begin assembling the short film. I divided the answers into chapters so that as I started adding shots, it would be easier to keep the timeline organized by editing piece by piece, rather than working with all the answers at once. From the shot list I created in pre-production, I already had the shots I wanted for the intro. The only thing missing was the right song to bring it all together. Music is crucial for setting the right tone and feel for the film, and if you get this wrong, it can disconnect your audience from what they're watching. I use MusicBed for my music and now sound design needs, and I think they offer the highest quality music you can license for your short films and YouTube videos. The first song you pick is essential for the right mood and to grab the audience's attention. Music can also help with the pacing of your work when you edit to the song you pick. That's how I turned the 6-minute interview base into the final 10-minute short film. I figured out an outline for the intro with what I filmed and continued piecing together the short film. Every time I move on to the next section, I look for a new song that fits the vibe of what they're talking about. In some sections, I even went through 3 to 5 different songs before finding that one that really meshed well with their answers and the shots that I captured. Throughout this process, I work chapter by chapter, find a new song, and select the clips from what I shot that matches the answers I have as the base. Once I finalize the clips throughout the whole film, I go back and color grade the rest of the shots, starting from the 2 shots I graded earlier as the foundation. I would copy the grade to each shot and make small adjustments when needed. Throughout the film, I make sure the grading matches from clip to clip where the levels stay consistent in the parade graphs. This is what I enjoyed the most in post-production, as I can really see how the film is coming to life compared to the lifeless colors of log. The last element that really brings your short film all together is the sound design.
Especially when the announcer says that the bar is loaded, that's when my heart pumps crazy. But you get this adrenaline rush at first, and then you remember all the training that you did. And that's when you need to trust the process, trust your coach, trust your body, that you are capable.
This enhances the storytelling and the impact your audience will feel when watching, and it's a step you cannot skip. Throughout the film, if I didn't use the audio from the actual clip I recorded, I used MusicBed's new feature sounds to find all the sound effects you hear while watching. I searched for workout weight to find barbell sounds and the noise weights would make when they move. I also searched for neighborhood ambience for the garage gym shots, as the suburban sound fits more with the location we filmed at. To get the balance right for the sound design, I turned off all the answers and the music so I could just focus on how each shot should sound as if the audience were there in person. After adding the sound effects, I brought the interview and music back in and adjusted the levels of everything so their voices are clear and everything else is supporting the visuals and not drowning them out. This is pretty much the end for putting the short film together. The final touch was creating a compound clip with all of their voiceovers and going into the audio settings to add a bit of voice isolation to their answers. This helps to slightly clean up the audio, and then I raise the volume of it a bit more. I go back throughout the film where I needed lower thirds and mess with different fonts and styles until I find the one that fits. With the short film done, I duplicated the timeline and changed the resolution from 1080p to 4K. Since the aspect ratio I used was 15:9, I went from an 1800 by 1080p timeline resolution to 3600 by 2160. And that is everything that went into editing, color grading, and the sound design of this short film. Don't forget, if you want to check out the final film, you can watch it on my channel with a behind the scenes video showing how I filmed everything. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment below any questions you may have, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.